Hello, this is the daily COVID update from Deccan Herald. I'm Suraksha. On the bulletin today, Karnataka reports 187 new cases and the number of cases whose source of transmission is not clear has increased. Also on the bulletin, Dr. Ram Gopalakrishnan on the inevitability of community transmission in Chennai and Mumbai and what the rest of the country can learn from this.
Whenever you have a pandemic, then you are going to have community transmission at some point. So it's not really what you call it, it's what you do about it that counts.
But first, a look at the daily figures. At the time of this recording, the total number of cases reported so far is inching towards the 2 lakh mark. According to the figures, India has jumped to the 7th position of the nation's hardest hit by COVID-19. Following up on the economic package announced last month, the centre has further amended the definition of MSMEs by further revising the turnover of medium enterprises. Now, all MSMEs with a turnover of up to 250 crore will qualify as MSMEs. It also approved the modalities and roadmap for implementing the 20,000 crore rupee package for distressed MSMEs. The Union Cabinet, chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, also approved a special microcredit facility scheme, PM Swanidhi or PM Street Vendors Atmanirbhar Nidhi, for providing affordable loans to street vendors. Moving on to the numbers from Karnataka, 187 new cases were reported from Karnataka today. Of these, 150 new patients have had a travel history to Maharashtra. The source of transmission is yet to be determined for 45 of these new cases. Udupi reported 73 new cases today. The source of transmission hasn't been determined for 37 cases, the highest in the state. 33 of the 73 new cases have a travel history to Maharashtra and 3 have returned from the UAE. Bengaluru Urban has reported 28 new cases, of which 22 have returned from Maharashtra. All of Kalburgi's 24 cases have a travel history to Maharashtra. The youngest is a 4-month-old. All other districts have reported cases in single digits. A 90-year-old man from Bengaluru Urban who has spent over a month in hospital after testing positive for COVID-19 has died due to multi-organ failure. With this, Karnataka has recorded over 3,000 cases of the novel coronavirus this year. 1,328 patients have been discharged, of which 110 were discharged today. The state currently has over 2,000 active cases, of which 12 are in the ICU. According to the Bruhat Bengaluru Mahanagara Palike, Bengaluru Urban is not testing as much as its other counterparts as it isn't receiving as many interstate travellers. Raichur, Kalburgi, Bidar, Yadgir and Udupi have conducted more than 3,000 tests per million population in the past 10 days alone. In comparison, Bengaluru Urban has done 1,218 tests per million in the past 10 days. According to the state war room, only 7,000 interstate arrivals are shown in BBMP, while 45,000 were approved to come. Additionally, 39,884 applications were made to the Bengaluru Urban District Collectorate Office from other Indian states. 7 international passengers to the state have tested positive after having been discharged from quarantine. They had been tested on May 27th, after which a government circular changed the norms for testing and quarantining of international passengers. According to the new guidelines, those who are asymptomatic will not be tested before being released from institutional quarantine. In this case, the 7 passengers were released on May 29th before their test results arrived. All 7 are now in isolation in various districts. The big surge in cases from across India has led many to believe that community transmission is rampant in India, though the ICMR and the Union Ministry of Health continue to deny it. My colleague ETB Sivapriyan spoke to Dr. Ram Gopalakrishnan, a senior consultant at the Institute of Infectious Diseases at Apollo Hospitals in Chennai, to find out more.
Thank you, Dr. Ram Gopalakrishnan, for joining us. And let me straight away ask you a few questions. So, basically, the prevalence of the coronavirus in cities like Chennai and Mumbai are quite high. And what do you think other cities like Bengaluru and other metro cities in the country can learn from these 2 cities?
Yeah, the first thing is, wherever there is a high density of population, there is a high risk of widespread transmission at a rapid rate, which might potentially reach levels that we have seen a month or 2 ago in major metropolises around the world. Coronavirus is highly communicable, and whenever many people live in small enclosed areas, then this spreads like fire, literally. So the lesson to be learned from there is, whatever we do in terms of prevention, whether it is testing or universal measures, you focus on your most crowded areas, especially where living standards and socioeconomic standards are lower.
So if you see, many experts do come out and say that there is a lot of community transmission happening in cities like Chennai and Mumbai, especially in areas like North Madras in Chennai and Dharavi in Mumbai, as you mentioned. But if we go ahead and see, the government is in denial mode, both the central government and the state government. Why do you think the governments are maintaining a study silence on this issue?
Well, the first thing to understand is whenever you have a pandemic, then you are going to have community transmission at some point. It's only a matter of words or semantics, whether you call it localized transmission, cluster transmission, community transmission, etc. The definition of community transmission is when you have a patient who is positive and they don't have any known risk factors like travel from an area with a high prevalence of disease or contact with a known positive case or entry into the healthcare system, etc. You call it community transmission. So that clearly is going on in heavy density areas like Mumbai, Chennai, etc. And that is the natural course of any epidemic. So it's not really what you call it, it's what you do about it that counts. So I think we should move away from whether it is happening or not. Obviously, it is in the eyes of most people who see patients who are familiar with this, to what are we going to do about it? Because that is what counts.
What do you think is necessary now? Just ramped up testing is enough? So what do you suggest as a doctor is necessary apart from testing?
Yeah, so testing is important. First of all, you don't know where we are as a country unless you test. And the government has progressively widened the indications from testing. But what do you do with that information? So what is the whole purpose of that? There are two roles. One is for the treatment of the individual person who was tested positive. The second issue is what you do in terms of preventing spread. Whatever you do in terms of preventing spread is the same right now, whether somebody tests positive or negative. If you test positive, you tell them to either home isolate themselves or admit them to a hospital. You aggressively trace their contacts. You tell all the contacts to stay in quarantine. You do the exact same thing even if you test negative. For instance, if somebody has cough or fever in Chennai today, even if you test negative for coronavirus, you have coronavirus in all likelihood because it reflects the pre-test probability or the positive predictive value of the test. In somebody who has a negative test, when there is widespread disease in the population, a negative test is actually a false negative.
Sir, if you see, the center has made a lot of changes to its discharge policies recently, and now as a result of it, a number of discharges are happening every day. What do you make of this new discharge policy or the amended discharge policy?
Yeah, see, discharge policy is just a number. See, one thing is very clear. If you have coronavirus for more than 7 days, you don't transmit it. The science is very clear on that. Multiple studies from Taiwan, the US, etc. What the test that is done after 7 days picks up is essentially the dead body or the shell of the virus. So after 7 days of infection, somebody cannot transmit. And that is why the guidelines have changed. The government says quite correctly that after 10 days from the day of symptoms or 10 days after the test, if you are asymptomatic, you are free to go home. There is no need for isolation, or if you do isolation, you can do it in your home, etc. So this is perfectly appropriate, and it has nothing to do with increasing prevalence of disease. Nothing to do, because this is a validated test and this is a validated approach in many countries now. So the discharge criteria have nothing to do with a rising prevalence of coronavirus in densely populated areas.
Sir, in conclusion, let me just ask you one thing. Where do we go from here? What is the future as in store for us?
Yeah, so we will have to learn to live with coronavirus. My estimate is we won't be able to do anything about this virus for the next 1 year at least. And the reason for that is we don't have an effective vaccine. We don't have good antiviral therapy. So we need to learn to live with this virus. We need to prepare for explosive outbreaks in our large metropolises. And we need to gradually open up our economy, focusing restrictive measures on densely populated areas. So on an individual basis, as well as on a public health basis, there are a lot of things we need to change our lives moving forward, at least for the next 1 year.
That's all from us today. For the latest updates, log on to DeccanHerald.com. Stay safe and we'll see you tomorrow.